view, hey? Check this out. Temperature hadn't come up. So here we go. We've just turned off the Stewart Highway onto the Arnhem Highway. I'm not sure if that's the right name. Anyway, we've turned off the Stewart Highway, heading to Nullarbor. 675 k's. Going to take us a couple of days is the plan to get out there. Then once we get out there, we've got a couple of nights in Walkabout Lodge campground, then start poking out into the bush around East Arnhem. And we've got permits for a couple of weeks. We're a bit unsure where it's going to take us, where we're going to end up. We're going to poke along. It's a bit of a research trip really, see what we can find. Head down. What do we go? We went 30 on the front, 37 in the back. How cool's this? Big escarpment running along here, right out there. That big bowl. What are we looking here? We're looking, yeah, looking east. Here. And the day sun's up there. There's this huge big valley in here. We just spotted a few locals down there. It's all been freshly burnt. Just down there doing stuff. We've had a bit of smoke on the sides of the road here and there. This is all freshly burnt around here. So yeah, just a bit of cool burning going on. Anyway, we're going to put the nose bag on and have a sandwich and probably half a cup, and then 1 o'clock, and we'll keep wandering a couple more hours down the road and find somewhere to camp. So we just poked in off the road back there, and we're probably about 300 metres off the main road. We ducked in a little track, barely a couple of wheel tracks really. And we just pulled up here, eked out a little bit of a clearing here, just got rid of some of the hyptus bush to reduce the fire hazard. Just want to clear a bit of country to reduce the fire risk, and I found a good way to do it is a nice sharp machete. It's sandy country, so a nice sharp machete, and it's just this hyptus stuff, this sticky hyptus. So I just used the sharp machete to knock down at the base of the plant. You just knock them down. Only takes 10 minutes to do an area big enough to camp in, and this makes it a little bit more user friendly. But yeah, just got a little fire going. Just I've got a bit of tucker for dinner. Just down here we've got a significant water course, and right over one of the channels right over the back there has actually got a fair flow. Have a look at this, great little creek here, 50 metres from camp. I don't think there's going to be too many crocs in it, not too many anyway. Deep enough just to get wet, splash around for 5 minutes. Looks awesome. Geez, warm. No crocs.
Downstream.
It's got a fair flow. Look at that. I'm laying on the ground almost, and it's now it's going to fill my undies up with sand. No, too late. It's actually hard to lay here in the water without being washed downstream. It's such a flow. Now the paper barks here, I reckon some of them are 25-30 metres tall. The one just here would be a good 2 foot through the base. They're just awesome specimens of great trees. Some of them are straight as a die. There's also up here some Leichhardt pine. able to have a bit of a swim there earlier, and it's only shallow, but geez, the water's fair ripping through there. The water temp was almost body temperature. There was barely any discernible difference between the water temp and the body temp. Very pleasant, typical savanna woodland, you know, right here. Look at this awesome Carpentaria ironwood. They throw heaps of shade. The stock won't eat them. They're also known as camel's curse, or cattle curse. They're poisonous. The bark, the wood, the leaves, which I found out years ago the hard way when I was milling up some on a sawmill. Got poisoned. Went down for the count. Pretty nasty. We're just sitting here having a cup of tea while the fire burns down right to cook on. The sun's just almost gone. All the birds packing up for the day. We've got the cockies screeching away there. We had a barking owl out the back there somewhere. A few little sapsuckers that making a few noises as well. You don't sort of see them though, they're hard to see. But pulled up at an old gravel pit here, the scrape. Nothing too exciting about that. We're about to have a cuppa, but road's just out the back here. There's a bit of a water hole here. There's half a dozen buffalo sniffing us, trying to work out what's going on, whether we're a threat or not. See them all reaching out with their nose, having a sniff. The wind's actually in their favour, they'll be getting a good sniff of us. So they've just got a bit of a wallow here. We've seen heaps, hundreds of them. I'm not sure if they're wild or farmed, maybe both. How cool is this? Magnetic termite mound. So it's very narrow and it's on a north-south orientation. My understanding is that so there's minimal surface area facing the sun. So east, west, north, the sun's going around there for the day. So there's minimal termite mound facing the sun. It's cool, just this black soil that's this river flat. Built it out. Magnetic termite mound. Cool. Behind me there you can see the community of Nullenby, probably a correct pronunciation in there somewhere, owned by the JOURNi people, traditional owners of the country. The land's been worked by mining companies in more recent years, so we've just travelled 650 odd k's in on the central Arnhem highway. Use that term loosely. We're going to camp here for a night or two just to find our feet, work out the lie of the land, how it all works. Got some permits administered by the JOURNi community. Great bit of coast out here. Hopefully we get to wet our feet. That's probably all we can wet. We're just poking around out in Nullenby, and there's this little lagoon out here towards the smelter. So you can see this pristine, this beautiful turquoise water behind us, and then the smelter beyond that. Evidently there's not too much smeltering, not too much processing of the bauxite, making aluminium, left out here. It's all shipped away, I suspect offshore. I did sort of ask the question whether it goes around the Queensland, but sort of didn't get too much of a straight answer. I suspect that's actually heading straight offshore for processing, refining into aluminium. So just over the back here we've got the yacht club, and then further around there's the boat club. So we're just poking around trying to get a feel for the lie of the land, how it all works, and where to come back to, really. Pretty inviting waters obviously, but we know what lives in here. You're snapping handbags. I suspect the locals all go for a dip. So there you go, bit of paradise meets productivity, meets progress. Maybe there's a clash there. This is, I'll get it right, East Woody Beach, and it's only just out of town, a few k, Nullenby. And behind us, a bit of a rock headland. People are out there snorkeling and a bit of fishing going on. Plenty to do. I don't think they advise you to do too much swimming, but obviously people do. Today with the southeasterly blowing, so I think it's up about 30 knots actually. Certainly strong enough to remove the hat. Notice the new hat. East Woody Beach. Nice clear water. Yeah, I'm sure on a right day without this southeasterly blowing, which is probably a rarity, it's a lovely spot. It is anyway. So this is one of the special sites the locals, Bitumen or Rainbow Cliff, and there's a pretty significant site evidently on the top of the cliff. They ask us not to go up there. Day use area here. There's a few facilities, tables, fireplace, bit of shade. Real wild day today. The southeasterly is blowing, so it's just pretty rough offshore. Saying that, quite pleasant. The breeze keeps the temperature down a bit, keeps the bugs away. Quite a nice spot. Not a bad spot to throw the line in and come up with something edible on the right day. So this is great little spot, Latram River, Waterway. It's only maybe a foot deep, enough to get wet, crystal clear, nice and warm. So another one of the wreck sites just south of Nullamoy. Requires a permit to be here and also a camping permit. So there's some pretty good facilities at these little recreation sites, and this is the Latram River, Waterway, and composting toilet there. They seem to be well maintained and clean, not that old. I get the feeling that the whole place has had a bit of a makeover in recent years. Not a lot of rubbish around, still get the odd in full bloom Boreas litmus, despite a dunny being right behind me. Campsites are well defined, walking tracks, a bit of effort going into it. Been recently burnt, in fact there's still fire just poking around here in the bush. So obviously, yeah, a lot of land management going on just to maintain the sites. So this is Turtle Beach campsite. There's only 2 sites here. By all accounts they're booked out tonight. We're not camping here, we just poked in for a quick look. But this is really sheltered. This is a great spot here. This is campsite 1 here. Might get a bit awkward if you camped here and other vehicles are turning up for a look, because it's the only spot to turn around. The beach is just down here, 50 metres walk. It's very protected. You're right in the thicket of the coastal vegetation here. Blowing quite a bit out there. We're going to have a look. Great little spot. So far been one of the picks of the coastal sites that we've seen. The Dunnies up the hill, 100 metres walk, though of course a lot of people obviously don't bother, and Boreas litmus and shit everywhere. got to get the back wheels a bit lower to level up the bed. Drop the back wheels in a bit of a hole. We've got a new breed of sea lion here. This is where the camper comes into its own. At the beach, water's just there, up off the deck, 5 minutes to put up, into the wind, so we're not getting buffeted around. Climb up out of the sand. This is exactly what we had in mind when we got it built. Fantastic. At the casuarinas here with the wind howling through them, water 50 metres out there, perfect. Good example of tyre pressures. Tyre pressure, tyre pressure, tyre pressure. I think we're down to, well, it was hot, we're down to 20 at the back, 16 at the front, so it's probably a bit lower now, first thing in the morning. And there was just no issue. We just crawled along, no problems at all. We've got a bit of a jump up here and we'll see how we go. A few holes, wombat holes where people have been scrabbling around trying to get out. Our biggest issue is clearance, taking the top off the truck with the low hanging branches. Story that in terms of cultural history, dates back not that long ago. So it's back into the early to mid 1700s. It's a bit of a walking track in here which was laid out that depicts an interesting story of a time when the Macassans would venture across from Sulawesi or Indonesia across to this top end of Australia to harvest the tepang. They obviously engaged, employed and utilised the services of the local Yolngu people. It's quite interesting. It's actually not that long ago, 300 odd years ago, that this was still happening. Long story short, it come to an end because the South Australian government, who were the administrators of the territory at the time, thought that, hang on a minute, we've got peoples from other country coming over here and harvesting produce out of our waters, maybe we can get a cut here. So they imposed taxes and restrictions on the trade, which ultimately led to its demise. So this is a point known now as Macassans Bay. No, Macassans Beach. It's pretty exposed, this one. A few trees offer a bit of shade. It sticks out on a point here and it's copping the wind even today. Could be too windy, not sure if you can hear it. It's just blowing very strong, it's hard to get out of the wind. It's almost sensory overload here, there's so much going on. You've got the turquoise waters contrasting against the deep ochre of the laterite cliffs here, and then the white sand just behind. It's just so vivid, the contrast. Then we've got the high humidity, it's blowing a gale, you can feel the wind, hear the wind, you can hear the wave action, you can taste the salt and the moisture in the air. It's just all going on. You actually need to sort of sit down and just relax, just try and take a big breath. What a top spot. This is another campsite out here called Delaware Bay. I think this is probably one of the more protected campsites that we've come across. We've got this huge estuary in here, protected by the headlands out the back here. There's a boat ramp just over here, very sheltered. A couple of campsites immediately behind the bushes here next to the campsite. And we're just over here, campsite number 3. And it's quite a big site, so we've actually offered it to share it with a couple other crew. We're probably a little bit exposed, they're a bit more sheltered than us, but they're right next to the dunny. It's been blowing all afternoon, all day. The boys having a bit of a fish here now. What is it? 5:30. The sun's just starting to dip behind the trees. But we haven't had any luck. Been fishing for a couple of hours. Just running a few lures and no luck. Delaware Bay. If you've got a boat, it's certainly probably got your name written all over it. Yami, which is scout camp. And this is the river that flows through the site. Great little spot. Have a swim, little waterfall there. It's quite a deep hole just above the waterfall, but I haven't seen anyone else swim in it, so we'll just wait until we see some other bait go for a swim before we jump in there. Yeah, great little spot. Only one other camp set up there, so we've pretty much got the place to ourselves. Yami scout camp. Great facilities, toilet, fire pits, tables, well maintained. I'd recommend it. Certainly a great spot on a hot day. We just got to Wonga Creek. Wow, that was tough. A few new pinstripes and scratches, probably a couple of little knocks too actually. Anyway, we made it. It was a fair hike. I think that might have been from the main road 15, maybe even 20 k's. Fair slog, and it was tight. We are rewarded with a great spot here on the creek, Wonga Creek. Check this out. So Wonga Creek, it's probably one of the least maintained sites that we've come across so far out here in East Arnhem. It's probably a good reason for it, because it's hard to get to. So anybody that's looking for a spot off the main drag, out of the way, this is and a bit of a challenging drive, this is probably the spot for you. There is only one designated campsite here, so it books out, I suspect, pretty easily. Well, there's only one site, so as soon as that's booked, there's no more room, despite the fact that it says that it can accommodate quite a few people. Once one person's booked it, that's it, no one else can get in on the site. So that's just something to consider. But look, you probably want to consider your setup before you come in here. It's probably a swag sort of site. Certainly wouldn't want to be dragging a trailer in here. It says not to bring trailers in here anyway. But our setup, perfect for in here. We're actually not camping in here, we've just come in for a look, day visit if you like. Not sure if that's frowned upon or not, but anyway, we've done it. Set up like ours, rooftop tent even, slide on camper. But be mindful of the height, because it is tight getting in here. So Wonga Creek, I recommend this one if you're looking for something just that little bit more challenging while you're out here in East Arnhem. already got that washout climb up the other side there. Looks like it's all chopped out. So we'll just go first gear, crawl along. Chopped out on this side as well. Oh, this looks very tight. Termite mound on that side. And I missed that mirror?
Yep.
Check this out. We got a mid-afternoon downpour. It's been that humid. It's finally come to something. So, whew. I don't know if it's relieving or not, but we'll probably get very steamy after this. What a great spot. Unbelievable. Giddy Creek. Good thing is we're the only ones camped here as well. Our site's just here. All the campsites at this particular area are spread out quite a bit. Campsite that we've got is right on the waterhole here. We've all got access to the creek. What a great spot. We're going to cook up what we've coined Arnhem burgers. It's a burger with a twist. Doesn't have a burger in it. It's got a bit of Scotch fillet. Thinly sliced Scotch fillet. They're bloody rippers. Pretty simple. Only takes a couple of minutes to cook. Oh yeah. Just a bit of bunghole on the top of each plate. Probably wise not to flip them again now. So these are only minute steaks, they're that thin. A bit thicker than a bit of cold meat you'd get from the deli. They're done. pretty much all the cooking. Egg, egg, egg. Be generous because that's the healthy bit. So we've got a bit of tomato.
We've got some mayo, tomato, jalapenos and those two, some lettuce, egg, butter. Gonna put some sauce maybe. Yeah.
Sauce.
You want tomato sauce, Mum?
Yeah, that's lovely. There we go.
What do we got there?
Arnhem burgers.
Arnhem burgers.
What do we reckon?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Right.
Arnhem burger. Try it. We might have some pudding too tonight. Oh, the mornings are just an awesome time up in this country. Awesome time of the day. I think it's about 6:45. It's already 24 degrees. It's probably not going to get overly hot today. Humidity's already up there. It's just, I don't know, it's just awesome time to be up and about. The birds, they get going early. There's not a ripple on the water, not a breath of wind. It's just a great place to be. Great place to be. My goodness, check this out. Literally just arrived here. Been here for 2 minutes. This is the first thing we've seen. We've just come out of the bush, the end of the track, and this is what we've come to. Unbelievable. This is paradise. This is fantastic. So we've got campsites just up in the bush here, which is we've just driven through there just to have a look and see what's going on around the place. Don't know much about the place, and our time here we'll do a bit of a recce and work it all out. This is a site known as Delaware Bay. This is Delaware Bay's a little bay on part of a bigger water system called Blue Mud Bay. This has got to be up there with top spots. So Delaware Bay, it's a bloody great spot. So we just set up over the back here, and a few facilities right here, table, fireplace, which we'll fire up shortly. There's a shower block just out the back there, 3 or 4 showers, or cold water, but the water temp's that warm it doesn't matter. Bit of a sink and bench there, shelter I suppose, the dunny out the back there. So what a great spot. But if we swing around, so we've got camp over there, swing around, there's the bay. It's about 4:30 now, so the sun's getting pretty low, but it's also behind clouds, so temps dropped a bit, which is quite pleasant, and breeze has dropped, but still just a slight breeze just to take the edge off the heat. And we're just going to settle in. I reckon we'll get a nice sunset out here to the west later on. This is why we travel, why we explore. This is what the journey's all about, I think. One thing's for sure, as General MacArthur said, I shall return. So we got pulled up for Smoko and the found a bit of fluid that sprayed around all over under the car here. And initially I thought it was coolant, and I haven't dismissed that, but I can't see where that would be. There seemed to be a lot of moisture, fluid around on the air conditioning unit. Temperature hadn't come up. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we'll have a good look and clean everything up, and might have to drive for a bit more and see if it's still doing it. I haven't done anything to stop it doing it. It's not fuel. I don't think it's oil. And the light on the dash is constantly reminding me that it's due for an oil change. Termite mounds. They make them tall around these parts. Check this out. It's at least twice as high as the truck. The truck's 2.7 metres. Just spending 10 minutes picking up a bit of rubbish around the site, immediate site that we're camped in. most of it's unpleasant shit, but anyway, just tidies it up. The next people that come along might have a little bit nicer experience than what we did when we turned up. It took 10 minutes, filled the bag up, so it was a bit more. So we'll just burn all that. I don't take a lot of pleasure in picking up poo tickets. Trick to burning rubbish, I've found, you've actually got to have good flame. No use just throwing it in the smouldering coals because it doesn't burn. And otherwise you end up with all this residual half burnt rubbish laying in the bottom of the fire. Have a stick available so you can stop anything that might want to blow out into the scrub. Well, our time in East Arnhem coming to a conclusion. Sort of think about what was involved to get here, distance, time, jumping through hoops of bureaucracy, paying, financial hit. I think that's what keeps the place so raw though, is the fact that it's not an open gate, free for all, come and go as you please. It's actually quite regulated, quite structured, quite clunky processes, but it keeps it real. It's not a Cape York dash to the tip. It's not a Kimberley, Gibb River Road where you get in a procession and all get corralled, stay in national parks, campgrounds that are overflowing, and people's tents are tied to your bumper bar. It's not a Litchfield National Park that's overflowing. No, this is raw. I won't say untouched, but it's undiscovered. And I hope that regulations stay in place. I thought about it. It's frustrating going through all the processes, but all in all, I think it's what's made the trip satisfying. Spots like this, there's no one else around. So yeah, another day or two to wander out the main road. Certainly we'll be back. There's a lot more to be done, experiences to be had. East Arnhem. Top spot. So we just got into Beswick, which is effectively the end of the gravel, back onto the bitumen on the Central Arnhem Highway. Just pulled up under a nice shady bohemia tree, plenty of shade. So that's the end of our little sojourn into East Arnhem. We had a ball. absolutely fantastic. And it's everything we'd hoped it would be, and more. So we'll certainly be back. So we're just airing up now, back on the highway pressures. I think we've got about 50-60 k's out to the Stewart Highway, and then another 50-60 out to Catherine. So if you like what you see on our channel, that's great. Give us a thumbs up, or maybe hit the subscribe button. Apparently it helps. We appreciate the feedback, so any comments, or if you want information, as they say, a little bit of information makes you dangerous. We know a little bit of information, a little bit more than we knew before anyway. Yeah, thanks for watching.